Yeah, it's interesting that when the band Led Zeppelin was going to start, and they chose that name, the reason why they spelled it LED was so that Americans wouldn't pronounce it Lead Zeppelin.
Hmm.
So, probably Akiavel is probably pretty straightforward, but for someone like myself who might think Akiavel or something like that. So,
It's not only you. It's a lot of American people
oh
are
yeah, yeah. No,
struggling with.
I was just saying me, me as a representative. But,
Okay, yeah.
but yeah, frequently on my podcast, if I'm playing music from bands around the world, sometimes I will say, please take this with a grain of salt. That I'll probably mispronounce the name, but I'm not meant to insult anyone. But
So it is Akiavel, and you're pronouncing it right,
good,
correctly. So
thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, well, I was listening to Vivictus today, um, and I really enjoyed it. Uh,
Thank
Even
you.
though death metal is not my preferred genre by any stretch, but what you're bringing to it is not simply straight ahead death metal. Like there's a bunch of different influences that I could tell, which made it really interesting. It's the type of album I think I'm going to have to go back and listen to multiple times, just to
Thank you.
pick up on all the nuances and details. Now I
Yeah,
know. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go on.
yeah, no, that's very nice. You're saying this, and thank you for these positive comments. And yeah, it's actually what we are trying to do, or what we want to do, and what we like to do. It's mixing different kind of metal music, different types of influences. The four of us have different musical backgrounds, so we don't listen to the same type of metal, from thrash to death to hardcore to heavy metal. So each one of us has a different background, and we mix everything pretty naturally without thinking uh, of doing something or something else, or not doing something. We are just doing it naturally. And at the end of the day, you have the Akiavel style. Yeah, we cannot say it's straightforward or crystal clear death metal. It's Akiavel, and that's what we like. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely unique, um, and it works really well. I think sometimes you might think that melding all of those genres together may not work, but the way that you are able to do it, it's very complex. Um, it all works really well together. I think you're able to capitalize on your different strengths as musicians and the influences you have. So, and I know the album has already been released. I think it came out on the 23rd.
Yeah.
So for people out there listening or watching this interview, when it posts, you can go and get the album. There's no waiting necessary. So there.
Absolutely. Either in a CD format, you can find it on our website, akiavel.com, on vinyl as well, and also on all the streaming platforms as usual. And you also may find a lot of our music videos on YouTube. So there's no reason why you couldn't listen to Akiavel.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's easy to find, and I know that you released another album, V. Is it V or the Roman numeral 5?
It's 5.
Okay, 5.
It's
Yeah,
5.
that's
But as you noticed, it's 5, and Vivictis, yeah, so 5 or V, as you said, and Vivictis, it's a double V. So you can probably guess the initial of our next album.
yeah. I mean, I would. My guess is probably something with a V, maybe Victory, or what would
Or
be?
maybe several V's. Yeah.
So yeah. Veni Vidi Vici.
Might be.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I'll leave that up to you to just you are the musicians. You guys decide. Um, Either way, I'm looking forward to it. It's you guys have been very prolific because that's an album a year so far within the last 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the first one, so it's called Five. It's about the five wands of soul. Maybe Ore can elaborate on that. Because each album is a concept album. Vivictis is about serial killers. Five is about the five wands of soul.
Wounds.
Yeah, vas-y.
Five is about the five wounds. It's a book of personal development by a Canadian writer, and it's about five wounds who every humans have these wounds in their childhood, and there is the concept of the first album.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting because now that I know, I think I had known that Vivictus was a concept album, but it's great to know that that's sort of the launching point, because now I can go back and explore, what the influences were, where you developed some of the lyrics from, and it gives it more depth. So
yeah, thank you.
that'll be really cool.
Five has been released in February 2020, so a bit more than 1 year ago. But yeah, we were prolific due to the lockdown and the confinement. But yeah, it's pretty fast, and we had a lot of time to write this, and we were very motivated since our tour was cancelled. So that's why we were so quick doing the second one. And since we knew each other pretty better, it's a different album, but I think we were deeper in our way of playing our instrument, and yeah, might be more sometimes technical, more the mix was a bit more mixed than for the first album, which was our debut album.
And I think you're probably also developing your sound as a band, learning to play to everyone's strengths. So I think you're sort of finding everything, honing it, if you will, a little bit more by the sophomore album. And hopefully that'll just continue. You'll keep exploring new places and developing your sound by the time the third album comes out. Because I would imagine you're probably, if you've released, if you're like most bands that I've spoken to during the pandemic, you're probably still working on new material right now, and moving forward.
We're already beginning the writing of the third album. The new album is like 3 days old. We are already.
Yeah. Well, I think most people came to this fork in the road where they could, sit around and complain and watch Netflix all day, or they could, sit down and write and try to create something. And it's great. It's great that you guys have taken the opportunity to do that. Because it's really, especially Vivictus, you're doing some things that aren't experimental, but are probably different from the previous album. So it'll be interesting to see the direction you continue to move in. But yeah, no, I was listening to the album today. I really enjoyed it, and now I can go back and find the music videos on YouTube.
Yeah, if you didn't watch it, you definitely should. There are like 3 music videos for the first album, plus 2 live sessions. So there are 5 videos overall. And for the second album, we already shot Frozen Beauties, the first single, as we said. So this one is already out. And there are 1 live session to come very quickly, and 2 music videos as well, one of which is already shot and will be released in the US in June. It's maybe if you have seen in the album the song with the kids. So it's the song called Comrade, and the next music video is on this song with the kids and this very dark atmosphere, and I think you might love it. So we are pretty eager to show it to you, but we have to wait for a couple of weeks or a bit more.
Well, I'll have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Now, when you're working on new stuff, does the band usually write the music first, and then Auray, you come in to write lyrics afterward, or are you part of the process the whole way through?
Là, j'ai besoin de toi.
Ouais, so I will translate.
Yeah, it's all good.
On commence par la musique ou par les paroles, ou comment on fait entre quand on compose?
Ok. When, oui, ben, en gros, expliquer que moi, de mon côté, en tout cas, quand je reçois, enfin, c'est Chris J qui m'envoie votre morceau à tous les trois composé, et moi, j'écris par-dessus la suite, tout simplement, les lyrics.
So yeah, we begin by writing the music usually with Chris on the guitars and Jay on the bass, and then we send it to Auray, and she's writing the lyrics on the music. But I may add that Auray decides of the concept she wants to talk about, and even if she's writing each particular song on the actual music, she knows what she wants to talk about, the subject matter of each song, even before having all the songs. So she knows she wants to. Oh, boy, you correct me if I'm wrong. She knows she has several subjects she wants to talk about. Or for Vaevictis, it was several killers she wanted to talk about. And then depending on the songs that arrived, she decided to have this killer or that killer on this music. And then she wrote the exact lyrics depending on the atmosphere of the music.
Gotcha. That's yeah. I mean, I haven't really spoken to very many bands about their process, but I was just curious how it worked. And I mean, that sounds obviously it works because the album is great. But
thank you.
It's it sounds like a productive method. Now, is there? I'm not as familiar with what the scene is like in France. Is there a big metal scene where you are, or is it somewhat spread out?
Yeah, it's spread out, and it's pretty national. It's French bands tend to stay French and to remain in France, and they are not that keen to moving around and having the music spread out. So yeah, there are a lot of bands, but I would say small bands, and very few of them manage to go abroad and to be very famous, and very few of them do the job to try to be famous or known everywhere. Gojira, of course, it's the biggest French band, but apart from Gojira or Benighted, which are very good friends of us and have a real international career, most of the French bands remain French, even if we have some very interesting places and studios in France. A lot of international bands come over to France to record the album. Iron Maiden is very used to coming to Paris. Rammstein did their the last album, and the next album have been recorded next to our house, or very like 20 kilometers away from here in the south of France, in a very famous studio. So we have the facilities, we have the people, we have everything, but very few, and it's a shame, very few bands manage to make it outside France.
Gotcha. Well, the goal today is to try and help, change
Thank you.
that
Yeah,
if we can, expose the music to a few more international people. But
and we appreciate that. Yeah.
of course, so I would imagine now the hopefully the things are getting a little bit less with the quarantine, and you'll be able to rehearse more and play gigs at some point. I would imagine that's probably the next step. Try and I don't know if you've been able to even play the most recent album for an audience yet.
No, it's very interesting. We played before, so the band was formed in 2018, and we played. So the first album was released in 2020, so 2 years after. And during this period, we had like 2 gigs we played. One of which was at the Hellfest festival, at the Off festival, so the festival before the Hellfest, and we played there like before a, a fairly big crowd. It was funny. We had no album, we had nothing, so it was funny to already be able to play before an audience. Then we recorded and released our first album, and our first gig was supposed to be like on the 16th of March or something like that, which was the very first day of the quarantine, and everything was closed as from this day. We had like almost 20 dates. Everything was cancelled, and we never actually played the first album live. Absolutely never. Then we did the second one. We are now ready to play live, and we have more than 20 songs to play. So we have some material. So it's pretty cool.
Well, I
and
think
we
it'll be. I'm sorry, go on.
Yeah, and we have some festivals already scheduled, so we should be playing in May, in I don't remember, July, September, November. For May, I'm not very positive, but I hope that at the end of the year it will be possible to play. So yeah, we have a few dates, all in France. So it will be very good for us. It's all festivals, so it will be interesting to play live before that kind of audience, and with pretty cool bands, French and European bands, and then we'll see. And yeah, we hope we can move a bit around and get out of France quickly.
Yeah, well, I mean, my hope for you is that you'll be able to play, these festivals as soon as possible, and then hopefully go international at some point.
Yeah.
And be able to play both albums. I mean, with 20 songs worth of material, I have a feeling that the people are going to be ready to go attend these festivals and finally hear the music live. But
yeah, we have a lot of positive feedbacks from our albums, videos, and stuff. And the pandemic made it maybe easier to reach people. They were probably more available, more willing to discover some new bands. So we have very interesting feedbacks, and I know a lot of people are waiting for us. So it's pretty cool. Like our last videos reached like 50,000 views on YouTube in 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, it's pretty cool for a young band like us, having never played live. Even if we all played live with our previous bands, and we are all a bit old now, so we know how to play live, but never as Akiavel.
Right. Well, hopefully this will be the start of something great as it continues. And my goal, my hope is that a couple of people will discover your music from listening to the show, and they'll jump on the bandwagon, so to speak, at the ground floor and become Akiavel fans. I'm just so happy I know how to pronounce the name correctly.
Yeah.
But
you're doing it very well. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I mean, it's the both albums. I'm looking forward to going back and listening to V which I haven't heard yet. Vivictus.
VR5 again. VR5.
Oh, Vive. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. That's my fault. Sorry about that. Vivictus I have listened to. It's going to stay in my rotation for a little while because I feel like there are going to be small things I'm going to notice with each new listen. So people, and I know you are on social media, you have a website people can go to find out information. You're playing some festivals are lined up, so anyone can find the information there. But I'm really looking forward to hearing about some really exciting times on the tour, and I'm hoping I can get some people to get your music. So, but thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me, and have a good luck with everything else, and enjoy the rest of the day. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Take care.